Hello, welcome to my review of the Tale of Knives Jack's t-tux multi-tool push-up with a clip. This one is black with blue threading, as you can see. It fits flashlights up to 0.91 inch. I'll say right up front, whenever they give those measurements, and it seems very exact about like 0.91 inch, they're serious. I think you can often stretch to get larger tools in, but you should abide by their warnings whenever they give you the specifics of what multi-tools, flashlights, other objects fit their gear. So I ordered this directly from Tale of Knives. I've had it for about 3 months now. I've worn it for approximately 2 of the 3 months because I also bought another organizer from them at the same time. What do they advertise it as? Tale of Knives advertises this as made in the USA, and I've seen it referenced in EDC community as being kind of the OG high quality belt organizer for EDC gear. I believe it. You know, there have been the Leatherman organizers and others for a number of years, but they're not up to this level of quality. I've never seen one at this level of quality. Maybe they exist, but I haven't seen them. The case itself is made out of vegetable tan leather, and the stitching is really solid. Seems to hold up really well. Some comparisons to other items. I've kind of loaded these up in kind of a typical carry fashion because I want to kind of give an example as to how it looks when you're carrying it. I'll unload and load as we go, but I just wanted it to seem more realistic so that you could see the actual dimensions with a bit more specificity. While we're at it, let's go ahead and measure this one. So with my gear in it, this is an Olight Mini Warrior 2, I think, Grimsmo Saga, and a Victorinox Swiss tool are the 3 tools in here right now. But if we measure it from top to bottom of the case itself, we're dealing in somewhere right around 4.5, slightly higher, 4.5 inches, right around. And in width, we have right about 3.5 inches, and that's loaded. So whenever it's flat, it'll be a little bit wider. I've carried a number of pocket organizers over time, and for me, I tend to like start cheap and then step up over time. So this has been kind of like my jump to the high end. So I started out with like standard pocket organizers, the ones that go inside of your pocket. I really enjoyed these for a long time. This is Hitch and Timber. I've got another Hitch and Timber one that I've put quite a bit of mileage on over time. And these were really great whenever I was using pocket organizers. But ultimately, you know, I kind of abandoned them and I moved on to, sadly enough, cargo pants. And once during COVID, I was no longer going into an office every day. Wearing cargo pants every day or shorts with pants with pockets really didn't have the same impact that it did before on my life. So then what I did was, once I started looking into belt organizers, I kind of discovered this market for high quality belt organizers. I said, but am I the guy to carry a belt organizer? And so I went ahead and I bought this cheap one off of Amazon. So this is a Catch and Craft. So I can't remember, this may have been about 20 bucks. I wore this thing for probably 3 or 4 months before I decided to upgrade to the Tale of Knives. And you can see that it's already stretching out quite a bit, and it's very floppy compared to the Tale of Knives one. You can see that the tools kind of bang into each other and that type of thing, but it does have the ability to carry more tools. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I really like this, like, for what it was. And if you're still on the fence as to whether or not you want a belt organizer, this might be a good place to start before you go and invest in kind of the OG of belt organizers. So let's take a quick look at another belt organizer from Tale of Knives that you can see general dimensions. This is the other one I ordered at the same time, and you can see that this one's wider, and a big difference between this one, this is just the t-tux extra large multi-tool push-up, and this one has the key carrier, although I've never used it. Not a big fan of jangling keys, but I decided to buy it anyway, but I've never used it. This one has one clip versus this one, which has two clips. We'll talk about that more here in a little bit, although this isn't a review of this unit today. I just wanted to show the difference in them. I decided not to get the belt loop one for this purchase, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I went with the clip. I've really liked it so far. So, why did I go here? This is the evolution of me carrying my gear. At some point, I was like, I really don't want to be wearing cargo pants all the time. I got to start looking more professional again. And so I started shopping around for other options. These types of organizers were becoming popular. So I went ahead and dove into the cheap one I showed you before. And now I upgraded to this. And now I carry one of these every single day. And I've carried this one most of the time because it's very compact and nice. So let's talk about the pretty good, the so-so, the excellent of this organizer right now. So the pretty good is that when it comes flat and stiff. So if we remove my gear from it, this thing really packs down. Like, it goes pretty dang flat, and it comes flat. And then you stretch it out with the particular tools you have, or you fit them, and then it'll start to conform to those tools. And of course, it's going to get some wear and tear. I was carrying another pin in here with a sharp clip at one time, and that's where most of this wear came from. I'm not getting that same level of wear now that I've switched to carrying pins with less abrasive clips. So once it breaks in, it carries your tools tightly and perfectly. Tale of Knives offers a version with a little flap over to button the multi-tool pocket up. I just don't see a need, especially with how tightly it holds on to my stuff. The clip, let me get the stuff back in here real quick. There we go. The clip itself is really solid. Like, I was a little doubtful as to whether or not this clip would be a perfect fit, but what you can see is that it requires a fair amount of tension to get it on and off your belt. That doesn't mean it's perfect, but it's pretty good, and good enough that I don't feel the need to have one with the solid integrated belt clips where I have to run my belt through each of the belt loops. So that's nice. That's a good thing about this particular case. I will say that some people may see that out-of-the-box stiffness as being a negative factor. I don't see it that way. I see having a leather tool or a leather holder that then breaks in over time and fits your tools perfectly as being a real benefit. What that does mean is that if you go to a larger tool and then later you want to back down to a smaller one, it's going to flop around a little bit because the leather isn't going to shrink back. So that is just one thing to take into account. At the same time, you're never going to get, say, this is one of the other things I carry fairly often. This is a Sherpa Sharpie holder, and it holds a regular black Sharpie, but I'm never going to want to stretch it out to hold this thing. So I'm going to stick with a regular pin in this one, even though I'd like to be able to hold like a Sharpie in a nice container in it. But I may stretch another one out over time to be able to hold it. So what's the okay about this? What's the so-so? So the clip, if you apply a lot of force to the thing, is it's good, but you can pop it off. So as one example, if this is on my belt and I go to push my flashlight out, I may, if the flashlight is really tight, like say I move to a flashlight or it's still breaking in, I may be able to twist and pop this off my belt. It's only happened a few times, and it's always something you're aware of because you're pressing enough force that the organizer is twisting on your belt. So that's something that I've always been able to take into account, although it has fallen off a couple times whenever I've been applying that force. And specifically whenever I was carrying a charged TTI in here, which that was one of the things that happened because it is very tight in this particular pocket. And on the website, Tail and Ice states, you can break it in for a charged TTI. That's true. And I never let it get fully broken in for that because I still wanted to fit slightly smaller multi-tools in this one. This doesn't have quite enough pockets for me. So if we go back to this other organizer, the cheaper one that I bought off Amazon, you can see that I'm carrying not only my flashlight, I'm also carrying my knife, I'm carrying my multi-tool, and I'm carrying my pry bar, which if you've seen a prior video of mine, you've seen this thing before. So this particular setup is the right mix of tools for me, and in some cases I might choose to carry a box cutter rather than a knife, but at the same time this would be kind of my complete EDC package, other than say like my wallet and some of the other typical stuff that I might just carry in a pocket. So the break-in can take a while. You need to be prepared whenever you buy any piece of high-quality leather gear with fairly stiff leather, that it'll take a while and you're going to have to just be patient. I didn't see anywhere that Tail and Ice referenced it, but I know for my other leather gear in the past, I've been able to use water, kind of soak or get the inside of the container damp or the storage pockets, and then shove whatever I wanted in there, and that would help to decrease the amount of time it took to stretch. I don't see that as a problem here. I'm just going to be patient because I really like this gear and I don't want to risk ruining it in any way. The flashlight pocket in this one, in the jacks, pushes back to be almost level with the clip. It hasn't been a real problem, but there's definitely times that I've been sitting there and I felt the flashlight up against my side. So, that's okay, but it's not so great. The next thing that we have here is that some people might say that the price of this is bad. I would say that for the quality I'm receiving and considering what I've spent on things like wallets in the past and other similar items, this isn't a bad price. This is a perfectly reasonable price for someone who's an EDC geek. You can always buy cheaper stuff, but at the same time, if you want quality and you want something that you're really happy carrying, this is pretty great. I'm just looking at it and thinking, this is a good fit. But it is expensive. I think even with the discount, I paid in excess of $100 for this particular organizer. The pin stretch I've mentioned previously, but I would never feel comfortable trying to stretch this particular pin pocket to fit a wider pin. It would have been nice to be able to fit something wider in here, but at the same time, I do understand the compromise they're trying to reach, but I do have a few pins that have not fit in here due to that. So what are the excellent things about this case? The quality is definitely there. Made in the USA can be just a label, but in this case, it comes with some weight. They're using really good threading. They're using good leather. I'm impressed by the quality of the product I've received. I've kept an eye on it. On the back here, you can see quite a bit of stitching, and I've kept an eye on it to see, and I haven't seen any issues with the stitching at this point. I haven't seen any pulling or separation or any indication that this thing is ever going to give. And that's exactly what I want to see, especially for something that's only been worn a few months. But it is, I just don't see this thing ever really coming apart, not under any reasonable normal use. The stiffness, for me, is a positive, the stiffness of the leather. So let me tell you why. If you take a softer holder, and I showed this a little bit ago, once it's on your belt, you will have stuff running into each other and clanking into each other. If all the gear you're carrying is like fairly inexpensive gear, that's not a problem. But whenever you're carrying nice gear in your EDC organizer or on your belt, you really don't want to be beating the garbage out of things like your pins and your flashlights and everything else. Let's beat them up by dropping them or using them, not by just carrying them in the case and having them run into each other and develop scratches just because they've been banging into each other. So with this, you can see here that with this Saga pin, there is a tiny little bit of clearance there between the two that you can clearly see. And it's always there. And even if I rank on it, like, oh, got it to touch, but that took a lot of force. There's at no time under any normal condition that I'm going to fall over or bang up against this thing and this flashlight is going to harm the pin, vice versa, or anything else. So that's kind of nice, and let me say, I put nicer tools in this thing, like but I use my gear and I have a number of flashlights and things that are beat up. So don't read this as I baby my stuff all the time. I absolutely don't. But at the same time, I also don't want my stuff beat up in its storage compartment that's on my belt. I really want to beat my stuff up by using it, not by just carrying it around. So the not so great about this, there is nothing not so great. There's nothing that's really bad. This is a good case. What would I like? I would like to have two belt clips, which would prevent it from ever coming off my belt. But then you can see how much bigger the organizer gets for them to be able to have that room. So that's, it's funny because I own both these organizers and I carried this one the majority of the first month, but now I carry this one almost exclusively. So that's so it's kind of a testament to I'm willing to make the compromise to get the compactness of this one. But at the same time, if there was a way to fit in another clip, maybe by shifting the flashlight around, changing the orientation of the leather so you could fit in another clip, or running it a little longer, maybe there was something there that you could put two closer side by side and really make it like rock solid on your belt while still being clipped on, so that you could take it off and put it on easier than with loops. Would I recommend this thing? Yes. I would recommend it if you're the type of guy or gal who wants something like this on their belt. Even with the clip popping off the couple times it's happened, I still prefer the clip to having to lace my belt through it every single morning as I change clothes. So that's something that I do like the clip in that case. If you're unsure about, do I really want to carry something like this on my belt? Maybe buy a cheaper one first, unless you just want to just go for the gusto to make sure that you're getting the best experience. Otherwise, you could buy a cheaper one and try it just like I did, and then if it's for you, stick with it and buy a Tale of Knives or another high-end brand of these belt organizers. I love this thing. I can't see giving it up. It's really enabled me to move back from cargo pants to normal pants without sacrificing carrying any of my gear. It's a really good fit for my lifestyle. It's also about as classy as you can get, right? You're still carrying gear on your belt. That's a problem, but at the same time, like if you are to carry gear, I'd rather it look like this than look like something that looks kind of sloppy, or just like there's a lot of, this thing doesn't look near as nice as this one does. I would feel comfortable wearing this in an office environment with an untucked shirt so that it's covered up all day, because if anyone does catch a glimpse of it, they might go, oh, what is that? But they're unlikely to be like, wow, this guy's like carrying around full on like some crazy thing. This just looks as dressy as you can make something like this look. So that's about it. What would I like to see in the next version of this product? 4+ pockets. For me, maybe even 5. Something with this width, but with even more pockets would be great for me, because I would really love to have all of my EDC except for my wallet and like my car keys concentrated in this, so that I'm not transferring things around or worrying about what I'm carrying today versus not. This thing makes it so that I'm carrying a box cutter or knife in one of my front pockets all day. I'd love to have a spot to put a knife or a box cutter in addition to this. So that's what I'd really like to see. Overall, I like this thing. I'm continuing to carry it every day, and until I see something that's superior, I'll probably continue carrying it. Thank you for watching my review today. If you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment. Feel free to like the video, and have a great day.